Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
We managed to solve the problem with just a tiny fuse. Bugatti didn't think that we were going to be able to separate this car in half.
Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment to be able to do that.
There's got to be a problem further down the line. And also the car still has a misfire along with loads of other problems, and it's going to get even harder now because Bugatti won't sell us any parts for this car unless it's with them.
A guy from Leicester, England, not a Bugatti certified engineer, not a factory technician, not even a formally trained mechanic, rebuilt one of the rarest, most complex hypercars on the face of the planet. He did it from scratch, against the direct wishes of Bugatti themselves. And when the dust finally settled and the engine roared back to life, even the people who said it was impossible were left speechless. This is the story of Matt Armstrong, a $6 million written-off Bugatti Chiron per sport, a parts blacklist that spanned the entire globe, a CEO battle that shook the internet, and a rebuild so extraordinary that Bugatti's own engineers couldn't believe what they were looking at. Before we get into the rebuild, let's talk about what was actually being rebuilt, because context is everything here. The Bugatti Chiron per sport first crossed Matt Armstrong's radar in October 2025. But this wasn't just any hypercar. Only 60 were ever made, and in good condition, this car sells for around $6 million. That's not a car. That's a house, a yacht, a private jet deposit, and a college fund for your grandchildren, all wrapped in carbon fiber and sitting on 4 Michelin tires. The Chiron per Sport is the track-focused, lightweight variant of the already insane Chiron. It produces 1,500 horsepower, weighs less than 1,900 kilograms, and its W16 engine, yes, 16 cylinders, is paired with 4 turbochargers. This isn't a car you'd find at your local garage. It's the kind of car where a single software update requires flying in a Bugatti technician with a proprietary laptop. So what happens when one of only 60 examples in the world gets totaled in a crash? Apparently, it ends up on Copart, and Matt Armstrong finds it. The Chiron per Sport had been in a massive accident. The front end was crumpled, the airbags had deployed, and a vast array of components needed replacing, including the headlights, the hood, the wings, and the iconic Bugatti horseshoe grille. Bugatti quoted approximately $1.7 million for a factory repair. When the owner declined, Bugatti refused to sell official parts, refused to support an independent rebuild, and effectively blacklisted the car's VIN. Let me say that again. Bugatti looked at this crashed car and said, "Repair it our way for $1.7 million, or we will ensure that nobody on the planet can sell you the parts you need." The car was written off, given a salvage title, sent to auction, and in the eyes of Bugatti, it was dead. But here's where the story gets interesting. Alex Gonzalez, a Miami-based content creator known as FX Alex G, purchased the wrecked Chiron per Sport at auction for $1.6 million, with fees bringing the total to roughly $1.9 million. Buying a $6 million hypercar for $1.9 million, even a written-off one, is the deal of a century, if you can bring it back. Alex believed it was possible, and he had someone in mind. He called Matt Armstrong. The moment Armstrong announced he was taking on this project, the automotive world exploded. And then something happened that nobody, including Matt, saw coming. Bugatti CEO mate Rimac himself weighed in on social media. Let that sink in. The CEO of one of the most exclusive automotive brands on earth, running a multi-billion-dollar company, was commenting on a YouTube mechanics project. Rimac raised genuine safety concerns, and honestly, he wasn't entirely wrong to do so. He pointed out that the gearbox housing had shattered and the monocoque had taken structural damage. This is a 1,500 horsepower machine. If you bolt it back together incorrectly, the consequences aren't just mechanical, people can die. Rimac also pushed back on the idea of 3D printed parts being used on safety-critical components, and then, in what felt like a peace offering but was really a control move, said the car was welcome at the Molsheim factory if Armstrong wanted to fly it over. Armstrong's response: polite, direct, unmovable. He said it was Alex's choice to rebuild the car privately. He wasn't interested in Molscium. He wasn't interested in a $1.7 million repair bill. He wanted to prove something. Bugatti held firm. The VIN stayed locked. No official parts would be supplied. And mate Rimac, whether he liked it or not, was now watching every single video. Bugatti won't help. The VIN is locked. The parts blacklist is global. And Matt Armstrong is standing in his workshop staring at the remains of a $6 million hypercar. Where do you even start? You start by splitting the car in half. To assess the full extent of the damage, particularly to the gearbox, Armstrong's team had to completely separate the front tub from the rear drivetrain frame. Bugatti does this with proprietary equipment at their Molscium factory. It's one of the reasons they said this was impossible. Removing the airboxes revealed 14 structural titanium bolts fastening the front and rear sections together. Once disconnected, coolant lines, battery terminals, electrical looms, all of it, Armstrong and his father managed to split the chassis using a two-post lift and the wheeled base of a garbage can. A garbage can. Bugatti builds their cars with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of precision robotics. Matt Armstrong split one in half with a trash can. And it worked. Once open, the full damage became clear. The crash forces had driven the engine forward, crushing a coolant pipe and causing damage beyond what was visible from outside. But the main engine block, the W16, arguably the most complex production car engine ever built, had survived. That was the foundation they needed. The gearbox mount, however, was a different story. It's a part engineered to deliberately break in a crash, absorbing force to protect the rest of the car. A replacement was astronomically expensive, and no authorized Bugatti supplier would touch this VIN. So Armstrong's team had a specialist TIG weld the mount back together, a repair many considered impossible on a component explicitly designed to fail. Meanwhile, a pinched coolant overflow pipe was sorted with a section of rigid brake hose. Not a $4,000 factory component, a piece of brake hose that cost a few dollars. And the exhaust was sent to Valvetronic, who fabricated a bespoke system, not a replacement, an upgrade. Every great story has an unsung hero. In this one, his name is Bob. Bob from the machine shop spent 60 hours fabricating a custom front crash bar, from scratch. He then built replacement radiators. All 10 of them. Custom units, hand-fabricated to Bugatti's thermal specifications, without blueprints, without CAD files. He looked at what was there, understood what was needed, and made it happen. He even managed to replicate the original mounting points and threads, allowing each unit to bolt directly to the chassis legs. The interior was completely overhauled with E3 Customs, who ret-rimmed the seats, dashboard, and steering components in the car's signature white and purple colorway. And then there were the airbags. With Bugatti airbags unavailable, Armstrong sourced 2 units from an Audi A3. They fit perfectly, because at the end of the day, Volkswagen Group engineering runs deeper than any badge. That one detail tells you something profound about these cars and the mythology that surrounds them. After months of work, countless setbacks, and one of the most watched automotive sagas in YouTube history, they turned the key. The W16 engine fired. One of only 60 in this configuration, it came back to life in a workshop, not in Molscium, not with proprietary diagnostic equipment, not with a team of factory-trained specialists, with a group of determined, resourceful human beings who refused to accept the word impossible. And then Matt Armstrong drove it. The car that Bugatti said was dead. The car with a globally blacklisted VIN. The car with Audi A3 airbags, a TIG welded gearbox mount, hand-built radiators, a brake hose coolant fix, and a custom Valvetronic exhaust, rolled out of a workshop and onto a road in Leicester. Here's the detail that often gets overlooked, but it might be the most significant part of the whole story. Bugatti eventually lifted the parts blacklist. The company that locked the VIN. The company whose CEO went on social media to cast doubt on the project. That company quietly changed its position. Armstrong's belief was that someone within Bugatti had unilaterally blocked parts sales, and that Rimac had privately indicated it could be done. That gap between the public-facing corporate line and what was actually being said in private tells you everything. This was never really about safety. It was about brand control. It was about the deeply uncomfortable reality that a self-taught mechanic from Leicester with a camera crew was about to show millions of people that the mythological complexity of a $6 million hypercar is, at least in part, a very expensive illusion. The moment Bugatti lifted that blacklist was the moment the argument was over. Matt Armstrong didn't just rebuild a Bugatti. He stress-tested the idea that manufacturers can control what you do with something you legally own, and he found that control wanting. When a company can lock a vehicle's VIN and cut off parts supply to a car you purchased, that's a level of post-purchase power that should make every consumer uncomfortable. Matt Armstrong found a way around every obstacle. Audi airbags, hand-built radiators, a garbage can chassis split, and he filmed every single step. The next time a manufacturer tells you something can't be done outside their authorized network, whether it's a car, a phone, or a piece of farm equipment, remember this story. Remember the garbage can. Remember Bob's 60-hour crash bar. Remember the Audi airbags that fit a $6 million Bugatti. And ask yourself, is it actually impossible? Or is it just inconvenient for someone else's bottom line? The project isn't finished, but the car runs, moves, and sounds better than it did when it left the factory. There's still more to come, and knowing Matt Armstrong, the next chapter will be just as extraordinary.